Peace to you, dear friends, from the monks of Mount Angel and from their abbot. That's me. And I just wanted to check in with you and let you know that we are all thinking of you here and praying for you at Mount Angel. Last time I visited with you, I made note of the scene of how we're all feeling so much stress in these days. It's probably no better on this visit either, maybe even a little worse. The stress of the pandemic and the economic hardships it brings, the divisions and all of the restrictions. That's there. The stress of the elections is there. Mamma mia. So much going on. And I said in that last message, we Christians have to keep ourselves centered in the scriptures. I spoke about reading some of the scriptural texts as a cleansing of the mind. We also need to pray. We should be praying a lot for our nation in these weeks, in these days, praying for the world in the challenges that face it at this time. And I was giving a conference to my monks this last week. That's actually one of the jobs that St. Benedict, one of the tasks that he lays on the abbot, that he should be teaching the community. He actually says, quoting the Apostle Paul in the second letter to Timothy, let the abbot use argument, reproof, and appeal with his monks. Argument, not in the sense of having a fight about something, but explaining things. Argument. Reproof, well, that means reproof. Sometimes correction is needed. Hey, this is the wrong way, folks. Let's make some changes here. Appeal, though. Appeal means, let's keep going. Let's keep going. I want to use all of those with you today, too, as friends of the monastery. But in this conference that I was giving to the monks, I spoke about how when we're praying the Divine Office, the Liturgy of the Hours, which St. Benedict calls the Opus Dei, God is at work. Opus Dei means the work of God, meaning God's at work when we're at prayer. And I drew their attention to Psalm 107, and I want to share that with you because this is a psalm that I think is particularly a vivid way of expressing how the Psalms can teach us to pray in this time. Psalm 107, it's a long psalm, and it recalls a lot of different situations in which the nation of Israel was very stressed. And there's a pattern of refrains to the psalm, which I just find beautiful. It recalls the pattern of stress and then talks about how the Lord saved us. And, well, listen to it, okay? After the and that pattern, we're meant to discern those same patterns in our own lives. So after rehearsing, as it were, or recalling the first big stress that they went through, we read, but in their anguish they called out to the Lord for help, and he rescued them from their hardship. This is what we need to do. In our anguish, we call out to the Lord for help, and he rescues us in our hardship. And then in this pattern of refrains, the next thing it does is it summarizes what the Lord did for them. This one says, he guided them by the shortest way, and they came to a city to dwell in. And then, every time this pattern repeats itself, we hear this. Let them acknowledge to the Lord the unfailing love he has shown them and the wonders he has done for the children of men. Let them acknowledge to the Lord. So then the story picks up again. More trouble, more hardship, but in their anguish they called out to the Lord, and he rescued them from their hardship. This time, what he did for them is put this way. He brought them out of darkness and shadow, and he snapped open their bonds. The Lord is still doing things like that for us, even in these most troubling of times. So let us acknowledge to the Lord the unfailing love he has shown them and the wonders he has done for the children of men. The next one, this gets, like the story gets worse as it advances, like these months get worse as they advance. They were so nauseated by any food that they had reached the gates of death. But in their anguish, they called out to the Lord, and he rescued them from their hardship. What did he do this time? He sent his word, and it healed them, and he brought them relief from their sickness. We're counting on this to happen again. This is what I mean by patterns. These patterns always repeat themselves with God's people. Here's another story that summarized. This is the last line of more trouble. They pitch and toss like drunken men, and all their skill is exhausted. Man, that could describe anything that we're going through. All our skill is exhausted. And yet, they cried out to the Lord from their anguish, and he guided them out of their hardship. He stills the storm to a mere whisper, and the violent waves are brought to stillness. This is the way, these are the kinds of things that the Lord is doing for us. This is his work. This is the Opus Dei. And we can pray the Psalms, and what we're doing is we're awakening the Lord again to these patterns of his saving us, of his reversing things. Later in the Psalms, it says he turned fruitful land into salt flats, and he changed desert into ponds of water. The Lord can do anything to bring us out of the trouble that we find ourselves in. We need to entrust ourselves to him in these very troubling and troubled times. The last part of the psalm finishes this way: let the upright see this and be glad. And so I'm using argument, reproof, and appeal with you. See if you can't see this in the events of our days. And we read, whoever is wise will ponder all this and will discern the unfailing love of the Lord. That expression, unfailing love of the Lord, that translates the Hebrew hesed. This is covenant love. God's love never fails coming toward us. We fail going toward him, but his love never fails coming toward us. In our anguish, let us cry out to the Lord, and he will rescue us. Ponder the events of our time. Ponder the graces we receive, and you will discern the unfailing love of the Lord.